Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Golden Frequency Radio. I am Beth Carr, intuitive quantum energy healer and your host, here with my friend, teacher, and co-host, Eric Rains. Hi, Eric.
Hi.
Eric is the alchemical engineer behind UnleashingNaturalHumanity.com and the etheric parasite and implant removal protocol that we both utilize in sessions with our clients. More information about this work can be found at UnleashingNaturalHumanity.com, as well as the Facebook page Unleashing Natural Humanity. We also have a YouTube channel, Golden Frequency Radio, where you can listen to recordings of our previous shows. We are having some technical difficulties with the chat room tonight, so we are not going to be able to take questions in there. But I would like to take a moment to extend a great big thank you to our audience, those listening live tonight and those listening later to the archived recording. Let's all take a moment together now to set our intention for tonight's show as being in alignment with the highest good for all, providing space for resonant information, validation, and support for anyone who has found their way to this broadcast. So tonight's show is an open discussion, and we're inviting the listening audience to call in and join us at 619-924-9805. And it actually looks like we have a couple of callers that have already joined us. So we're going to go ahead and start off with taking a call. So area code 617, you are on the air. Hi, do you have a question for us?
Can I ask any
Hello.
question? Hi, honey. How
Yeah,
are you?
of course. Hi. What's your first name?
It's Karen.
Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My question is in regards to a friendship. And I like to see if it's going to grow into something more.
Well, do you want it to?
Yes, I do.
So I would start looking into that, really start laying your intentions out. It's kind of, it's a difficult thing to kind of take that first step sometimes. We don't know what's on the other end, and it's one of those leaps of faith. But I've always found that whenever you just kind of put it out there and see what happens, it definitely is something that is a powerful manifestation in its own right. I really don't do readings like that. What I do is I deal more with the energy that is now, like what's going on with the body, physically, energetically, emotionally, and so on and so forth. Because when we start looking into the future and stuff like that, there are multiple timelines, and each decision that you make can spin them off into a different. Yeah, it can make a different timeline completely and totally. So what I would do is I would set your intention. I would, kind of visualize it in your mind, what you want. But that's another thing is when we put expectations on things, we set ourselves up for disappointment. So, just kind of say what you feel, and it's one of those things that, and if it doesn't work the way that you want it to, don't get discouraged, that it's all a learning process.
That's true. Very, very true.
So, Karen, your question is actually perfect because we wanted to talk about relationships tonight on the show.
Oh, yes.
And it's perfect. It's perfect. So what I would like to say about that is that, relationships really are a vehicle. If we look at the word relationship, and we break that down, relationships are a vehicle through which we relate. And so I think a lot of times people enter into relationships with an eye toward what they are going to get out of them rather than what they can put into them. And really the purpose of a relationship, well, one of the purposes is to sort of decide what part of yourself you'd like to see show up, and not necessarily what you what you can capture and hold within within another person.
Right.
And so, relationships sort of help us decide who we are and who we want to be. And so, like Eric said previously, when you're wanting to enter into a relationship, a lot of times it's about going within yourself and looking for where the resonation is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Did that help you, Karen?
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to ask us about or talk about?
I guess work would be one of them. It would be something I would like to kind of talk about.
What do you do?
I'm administrative assistant.
Do you like it?
I actually like the work, but I actually don't enjoy it where I'm at, because part of it is I want to grow and I want to expand, but I just don't want to do it there.
What about it? It kind of keeps you averse from growing there in that position you're at already. I'm just gonna say it. I just really don't. I don't like the culture. Okay. Well, that's one of the things that really started me off on this path right here to the actual healing aspect. Is this question that I ended up asking myself is, what would I do if money didn't exist? And that really started to force me to look at what I was passionate about, what I truly wanted to do. Because if I didn't have to, work a 9-to-5 job to pay for the food or the food in my belly and the roof over my head, what would I do with my life? What would I be truly passionate about? And if you didn't have money that was existing in your entire reality right here, if you had everything already provided for you, is this something that you would be doing?
Yeah. Actually, I would.
Beautiful.
Because I do enjoy that work. I mean, in a lot of ways, I do a lot of counseling there. I do a lot of talking, and people are always coming to me for things, and I'm giving people encouragement and supportive. That is what I want. That is, I am doing what it is I feel that I've come here to do, but it's in that type of setting.
Okay, so there's a couple things that you can do. First off, you like being able to coach people through things. You like counseling.
Yes.
Administrative assisting, that's not the only place that you can do that. You can do that other places. You can become a counselor for, kids, for people. It doesn't matter what. If you really like the administrative assistant part of it, though, what I would start doing is I would look for another opportunity. Just keep the,
that's
keep
what I'm
the
doing
job
now.
that you have. Oh, good, good. It sounds like you're already starting to manifest that. But it's when we actually start going out into the physical world, after we feel something that we want something, if we truly feel aligned towards it, and not only do we have that vision in our mind, we actually couple that with the physical reality with actually going out and doing it, that's when we start manifesting the stuff that we really, truly want and to have in our lives. That's when, we open ourselves up to the abundance. And that's definitely, it sounds like you're already on the path right there. If you really, truly enjoy this type of work, but you don't want to be in that place where you're at, continue to do the work. Just find a different place to do it.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm in the process of doing now. I've actually taken a step to call a former employer, and we have an appointment. Well, actually, I have an appointment with him Monday. And this is the first time, because I've always talked about it, about how, I really would like to leave, but leave on my terms. And that's what I've also set the intention, was to leave on my terms. When I'm ready to leave, it will be my decision. And, you know, when I made that decision, I have never worked harder than I've ever worked. I mean, everybody's noticed a big shift and change in me. But, you know, the reason why that has shifted and changed for me, because my plan is to go, again, is to leave, but it will be on my terms. And it will be it'll be my decision. So I had to make a shift in a lot of things, and I'm grateful that I did that. I really am, because I wanted to leave on the right. I'm sorry. I wanted to leave with a, not because I hate it and I'm bitter. I wanted to leave because, you know what, I've done what I've come here to do.
And it's time to move on. The energy has shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've already, and Karen, you've already put the intention out there. You've already created that opportunity in your field. So now you can really, to some extent, trust. You can sit.
Exactly.
You can trust and know that everything that's required for your new position will be provided.
I truly agree with you, and you're making a lot of sense.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because with the rising frequencies on the planet, we're getting to the point where everybody is kind of having these crisis of consciousness, to where they recognize, like, this is not what I want. I need to do something different. And the energy has shifted massively just within the past week. And it's getting to the point to where we're either getting completely and totally distracted, or we're going to center and we're finding out what we truly want. And it's really interesting that you called up with this manifestation that you wanted for a long time, that you're actually taking steps towards getting right now. And, you know, with the shift in energy, it's really interesting to see it, like, kind of confirmed in this small way right here.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We've gotten to the point where we can't, it's not really enough to make a steady paycheck, right? It's not enough to work a 40-hour job just for an hour-a-week job just for the money.
Absolutely.
We need to be spending our energy and our creativity doing something that is in alignment with our passion and our purpose.
That is so true. That is so true. And it's interesting because, I mean, it's not that I can't, it's not that I am not capable and do not have the skills or the wisdom or the knowledge to, you know, tackle any job within that company, whether it's an executive role or whether it's administrative role. I could do these. So even if it's HR, I could learn it and do it well.
I love your confidence.
I'm very serious about this because I'm standing back and I'm looking at what's happening within our company, and I know how to fix it. I know how to get things back on track. I know how to do this where people want to stay with our company. Our turnover rate is every day. There has to be at least 4 or 5 people that are quitting every day.
Wow.
And this has been going on since I started 2 years ago. And everybody's trying to figure out, you know, maybe, you know, we need, you know, ice cream trucks, or maybe we should have Pizza Friday. But no one gets into the real nitty-gritty as to what's really going on. Nobody wants to tackle it. And
you know, that's really interesting that you say that.
Because I'll speak it. I will stand up and say something.
Well, you can't put Band-Aids on an issue that, like, is a open wound, you know, that's like gushing blood. You know, the artery is cut. And, you know, the corporate world right now, it's just getting worse and worse and more cutthroat. The bottom line is all that people even care about anymore, and they don't even see the people anymore. So it's really interesting that you're, like, really tuning into the core of the matter. You want to fix the problem. You don't want to just put Band-Aids on it until it breaks open, do you?
Exactly, and I'm like, no, does anybody see this? And that's one of the reasons why I do not want to step up to a position here, and they're not going to allow that, because I'm too bold, I'm too open, and I'm going to call the king out. The king's nude. He's naked. He has no clothes. And they don't want to put me there.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to call it out.
Yeah, because for you it's really about connections, and what you can see is that if people felt appreciated, then they would then it would be a different situation. And
and
for
honor
you,
the skills. I'm sorry, I keep jumping in. I'm just excited.
No, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, really, it sounds to me like it's really not about. It's not about the work that the company is doing at all, really. For you, it's about connecting with people.
Mhm. Yes, and being able to troubleshoot.
Yeah, and you're looking for a place where you can do that effectively. You can connect with people effectively. Yeah.
Absolutely. And make change. I also feel that it's also making, I mean, if you become the change that you want to see in the world.
Exactly.
And I truly believe that, and I feel very strongly about that. And I know, I mean, I have a better, even being an administrative assistant, which is something that I don't do. I really that's just a title to me, it's just a title, but it's not what it's not what I really do, and I know that I make a difference. But I also know that they're not going to take that risk of me truly making a change. I know that it's more than an ice cream truck.
It sounds like you're tapping directly into a core issue of the world. This isn't just your company right here. This is the world on a connective level completely and totally. And you're seeing it in your microcosm right there, in your own reality that's popping up, because there is something extremely wrong with the way this world operates. And it's the connectivity. This is what we need to really start, looking for. It's not just the people in your company who need to feel appreciated. It's the people of the world who need to feel appreciated. And it's really interesting to see how the energetic shifts have been all manifesting, and people are really tuning into this. And they might not be seeing it on the broader scale like I look at, but you're seeing it in your life as it pertains to you. And when we start doing the work and actually becoming the change that we want to see in the world, it sends ripples out. People feel this energy, and it affects everybody around you, not just in where you are and what you interact with, but with the collective consciousness on a total. This is, this is work right here. This is literally light work. This is transmuting that old negative, stagnant energy and transmuting it into something beautiful. And this is something everybody can actually learn from right here, and we all need to start doing it.
Absolutely, and that's why people come to me. That's why it's like they'll trust me quicker than they would their manager, or their supervisor. They come to me. I can connect with them on truly on a soul level, and again, they cannot risk me being in that type of role of making change, because again, they know I'm not gonna go along with it. I'm not gonna go along with it, and I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call it the way that I see it, and they're not gonna.
That's another example of how your specific situation mirrors the collective sort of the world situation, and it sounds to me like you are an undercover light worker posing as an administrative assistant.
Exactly. And that's why it's like, I was here for I come there for a reason. I understood the reason, and know that this is not going to be the final place for me. It just isn't. I mean, there was a time where it was so dark and so heavy. Oh my gosh, I really was not sure if I was going to make it. And I will tell you, people, it was like the people who were really giving me a hard time, all of a sudden they're like, you know what? They quit. They really quit. And with that, the energy, yes, they left. They quit, went on and did something else, and the energy lifted.
What you were doing right there is you were literally creating an environment where they couldn't handle that resonation. You were transmuting the darkness. You were inside the pit. You were inside of that dark. And what you did is you turned on that light. And it doesn't matter how little that light is, it always starts transmuting the darkness. There's no amount of darkness that can turn the light off.
That is so true. But I had to learn that because it almost had me. It really did. The darkness had its grip on me. It really did. I was an angry, hostile. I was a hot mess. Nobody wanted to come near me. It was so heavy and so dark. And I made a shift. I said, you know what? I've got to change this because if I want to go to the next step, I can't do it with this heavy anger, darkness. And I knew a lot of it was not mine, but I didn't know how to shake it off. I just didn't know how to get rid of it. And I don't know how it happened, when it happened, but a shift happened. I made a decision that I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the best work I could possibly do. I'm going to be on point, and it all happened. My work is like boom, 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 boom. It's like they'll give me a project to do. I will do the project and do it well and do it before the time in which is done, where there was no issue of anything. And with that, my attitude shifted and changed.
And you hit the nail on the head right there. It is a decision. It's a decision to recognize I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel these feelings that they don't make me feel good, and I don't like not feeling good. And it's a simple decision to change it. Say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm putting my foot down, and I'm going in a different direction. And that translates to so much. It's not just in your job that you're doing that right there. You can apply this to any aspect of life whatsoever.
True.
And, it's really interesting that everything that you're talking about right here, this is like hand in hand with the energetic shifts that have been happening on the planet. And it's really, really heartening to see this happening. It's just a small confirmation from your life right there, but you're not the only one. You're just the one that we're talking to right now. This is happening all around the world right now. And it's just phenomenal to watch everybody starting to wake up. We're either becoming massively distracted or we're waking up. And, the thing is, the people who actually consciously start making these decisions right here, we can take over the collective consciousness because everybody else is asleep at the wheel. They are completely and totally asleep at the wheel. We don't need that many people to take this back. We really don't. What we need is just a core group of people around the planet to create a conscious grid to understand this is not what we want, and that energy will spread out. So, I'm almost like at the point of saying maybe you should stay at that job. Maybe you should start spreading these ideas around. Maybe you should start making these connections, and it might just take over from the inside and move its way up.
Oh, absolutely, and that's truly what I have done. There are some people that really get what I'm saying, and it's interesting because I met someone on the job, a young man, and we just really connected on a spiritual level. I'm like, I'm here because again, I was thinking about leaving, and for some reason, I'm like, I can't leave yet. I can't go yet. And he was with the company for almost a year, and I never saw him. We have a small office of maybe about 100 people, but I never saw him at all. And he was with the company for a year in the same office. I never recognized him. I never saw him until one day we met in the kitchen, and I'm like, how long have you been here? He says, I've been here for 8 months. And I never saw him. Never.
Your story has so many parallels with the actual everything going on in the world. We keep on passing by people that we have all these connections with, and we don't even register them until we, all of a sudden happenstance puts us together. That is just so funny. Your story it's so completely and totally aligned with the actual situation in the world right now. It's just really interesting to see. I'm just getting such a kick out of this.
Yeah, because I would have to see him. He would have to come by the front desk every day. I never saw him. And I participate and help with onboarding. I never saw him. I can remember everybody else but him. I can't even go back and like, who is he? And he's been here for almost a year, and I never saw him. He has to come by me every day.
That is so funny.
Never saw him until it was time. It's like until it was time, it everything just like clicked.
Mhm. Well, it might be one of those things where you guys were operating in different realities almost, where you resonate on the same level, and there's forces on this planet that try to keep people who resonate on that level away from each other, so that we're so much brighter when we come together than when we are just by ourselves. By ourselves, we can make an impact, but when we start coming together, that's when things really start to happen. You add one person to the mix, and it's there's a flame there, there's a light there. You add two flames to that one flame, two candles to that one flame, all of a sudden that flame is twice as bright. Add another one, and another one, and another one, and all of a sudden you've got this roaring inferno, and
that's right.
There's definitely an agenda to keep people like us apart, and you never
absolutely.
know. You never know. You guys might have been operating in different realities, coexisting with each other, and just that was when you guys made that connection right there when you actually crossed over.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, you're correct in what you're saying, because it's interesting, because an incident happened a couple of years ago on a busy street in downtown Boston, which is always full of people going back and forth. And I remember coming down an escalator, and I noticed as people were walking by, as I'm heading out the door, there was like $20 right there. Mm-hmm. And people are walking by and walking by and walking by. Nobody noticed this $20. People are going up the escalator, going out the door, coming in, going up. No one noticed this $20. So I'm getting off the escalator, and I pick it up, and I'm like, now, why was it that I noticed it? And it's interesting. I was talking to a friend, and she said, because it was for you. What they saw was a piece of paper or wrapper, but what you saw was $20 because it was meant for you, and that stuck with me.
That's really cool. Yeah. Well, this whole entire reality is a holographic projection. When we start breaking down the atomic structure of everything, we recognize it's all completely and totally empty. The atom is 99.999% empty. It's only a collision of energetic forces that keeps everything from, collapsing altogether. And the consciousness is what actually keeps this going. This is our reality. This is our playground. And there's been quite a bit of stuff that's actually happened to, keep us from recognizing this. But, when we start really tuning into it, and what's going on is when you start going on a heart-based level, when you start really connecting into the compassion, with the connection to people, with the love for the world around you, you start being able to manifest your own reality. And it sounds like you probably needed $20 at that time, too, didn't you?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I'm just seeing a connection that there is all that Spirit goes before me to set things up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it dawned on me because I was down to, I had no money. I mean, I was down to a penny. And I'm like, how am I going to get to work? I need to get to work. And I didn't want to go ask anybody. It's like, how am I going to get to work?
And there
what
it was.
came in my, but the thing is, I remember I went, I had bought something probably about a week ago. Now, the first thing I always do is that I rip the tags off and I throw the receipt away. I never keep receipts, never. So I said, somebody just said, well, you have 2 tops that you really didn't like. You kept the receipts. And I'm like, I better go home and just make sure that I have the receipts for these 2 tops. I looked in my drawer, and they're the receipts. So I could take it back and get, because I looked at I really didn't like the shirts, and as I looked at them, I can take this back, get money, and now I can get to work.
Yeah.
But I felt like Spirit had already set it up for me to not take the tags off, to keep the receipt, because I'm going to need the money for those 2 shirts so I can get to work.
And it's also an opportunity for Spirit to put a situation in your path that shows you how it's showing up. I mean, that's that's a higher aspect of self looking out for you, taking care of you.
Yes.
Karen, thank you so much for your call, and thank you for being the first call tonight. So lovely.
I'm sorry I took up so much of your time. This was absolutely
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry at all. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and
thank you both.
Let you offline and take another call. Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Karen.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we're going to go to another caller. Area code 780. Oh, yeah, 780. Hi, you're on the air. What's your name?
It's Jay calling from Canada.
Hi, Jay.
Hey there. You're talking about relationships.
We were.
Yeah.
And talking about that with the other caller. And it's an interesting time that we're in right now, but I feel that right now it seems like we're growing more farther apart than actually coming to closer together as a society or as a worldly, bodily people in this world. And I feel that we have this thing called technology that we don't know what its long-term effects are happening to us, such as cell phone technology and how that's doing it, and definitely how that actually is affecting us relationship-wise. And I feel we're growing farther apart than we are together because of that. I was actually watching a video on a person who does relationship stuff, and I was really surprised that he was actually talking about it was about texting. Like, how do you text the right messages to the other person? I was really shocked to hear that, actually, because I was, if you look at text messages, you can perceive many, many different ways, right? But you're not sure if the other person is actually sharing their words truthfully or not, right? So there could be some sort of fake. So there's really no interaction there. So I feel the energetic connection that we have when we're with people is lost in some sort of way too. And unfortunately, that is actually happening around the world, actually. So where people are like ostriches, actually, they're like ostriches, and just like that lady was saying, no one knows that $20 bill because they're consumed in their own world.
So let's talk a little bit, Jay, about, or Eric, I think you should address this. The first thing that Jay said or talked about was how his perception is that people seem to be moving apart instead of coming together. And that's a really good topic of conversation in the context of what's happening energetically on the planet right now, which is actually it's both. It's both extremes. Eric, would you like to talk about that just a bit?
Oh, definitely. We're watching everything split right down the middle. Things are becoming much more disconnected and much more connected all at the same time. And it all depends on what you want to focus on. And right now we are at a prime time to really start reaching out and making connections with people, but we have been literally programmed through this electronic culture that we have to not physically interact with people anymore. And not even just physically interact with people, just like you were talking about with the text messaging and like Facebook and stuff like that. Like you're saying, there's no way to really truly know what somebody else is really meaning through text. There's so much lost over text. Something that you can be saying like as a joke or something like that. Somebody can like think you're serious and take it truly to heart, and like think that you're attacking them and things along those lines, And so what we're watching right now is the algorithms and the subliminals that are actually in the programs that we use, not just in like the Facebook, but like all the programming that we get through the television and shows and whatnot. I mean, they don't call them programs for nothing, It's literally right there in our faces. But what they're trying to do is segue their way out of the connectivity with the energy that's rising on the planet right now, because they know exactly what's coming. They know exactly what's happening with the energy that is really starting to manifest inside of each and every person, and we all feel it. We all feel this burning desire, this burning need to really reach out and, be connected, to be loved, to love, and really just feel the energetic connection between everybody around us and on the planet. And they know exactly what would happen if we really started to do that. And this is exactly what they're trying to segue off so that they can control the narrative. They want us to be automatons. They want us to be mindless drones that they can control the collective consciousness by, playing specific themes and specific memes on the media, specific things on the internet that get us to really start dividing with each other. Like this whole thing that is going on with the Black Lives Matter. It is true. Black lives do matter. But what we're finding with all of this is that it is dividing people against each other. And instead of everybody coming together and loving everybody as one person and not separate, we're finding that everybody's starting to really choose camps in this. And I mean, it's just. It's a controlled narrative, and the bottom line is that we need to actively go out and make these connections. We have to really stop being part of the problem and go find a reason to be a part of the solution. And the way we do that is by accepting people. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you think. As long as you're not hurting anybody and you're for the liberation of this planet, you're my brother. You're my sister, and that's all there is to it, and we have to start making these connections like that, because you find so many different camps, so many different ideologies that have been literally grown into the psyche of humanity right now, and it will be this religion, racial, ideological. It doesn't matter how these camps got started. What we're seeing is people, it's us against them, and, we're finding people inside of these camps actually waking up and recognizing, like, if the bomb drops on us tomorrow, we're all going to be the same color. We're all going to be ash, And it really doesn't matter what we truly believe as long as we can come together as one and really start to recognize that it's not about you and what you want. It's not about me and what I want. It's about what we want together, because we have to start making concessions. We have to start saying, okay, well, if I want this and they don't want it, maybe we can find some compromise. And if there's no compromise, that's fine. Just, leave each other alone. We don't have to make this disconnect and these literal attacks on each other. And it's a really sad thing to see, but at the same time, we're recognizing that everybody wants something more. They want to be recognized. They want to be validated. And this is what we need to start doing, and you might even find an ideology that you don't like and a person who supports that ideology that you just really feel is not in alignment with you. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. They're still a person. They're still a consciousness with hopes, with dreams, with wanting to be connected in with what they know. And that's what we have to start bridging, because we are making these connections. And just like that lady was saying earlier, Karen was saying earlier, it's about that heart space connection, because you can go to anybody. It doesn't matter who. And if you make that right connotation, if you make that right connection through the heart space with that open understanding and lack of judgment, you can connect with anybody, and I don't care who they are, no matter how crazy they've gotten, no matter how dark their path has gotten, you can make that connection. And by being able to do that and turn on that light inside yourself and share it with other people, you can literally watch the reality around you shift and change. And so instead of seeing all this division that is literally programmed into our psyche right now, you can see all these connections starting to happen. And this is the world that I live in right now, where I'm seeing so much rising up out of these systems and connecting with each other with no bias, no judgment, and no expectation. It's simply the recognition of you as a sentient human being have a right to exist simply for the fact that you're here. If you didn't have a right to exist, you wouldn't be here, and that's just the bottom line. And every single consciousness on the planet has specific rights. We have the right to be unalienated, and we have the right to be unmolested as we go through this reality. We have the right to be where we truly want to be, and that's not what we're seeing here. And this is a disconnect that really is manifesting itself in multiple ways right here, and everybody feels this. Everybody feels that there's something seriously, truly wrong with the way that this world is operated. And a lot of people just don't know what those solutions are, and so they're acting out in whatever way that they can. And a lot of these things that we're seeing are programs to allow people to act out because they feel that pull. And so they kind of get guided down a path that sets them against other people because they just don't know any other way to become part of the solution. And that's kind of the reason why a lot of us are here. We're really starting to wake up and say, no, this is not right. This is not okay. And what we need to do is just love each other. You know, it's a simple decision, and that decision is a really, really hard one to put down your biases and what you truly believe is supposed to be done in the world, and just put that down and say, you know what, we all deserve to be here. And if we can all come from that perspective right there, which is starting to actually happen, which is amazing to watch, the world will shift, and it will be so incredibly fast when it happens, so incredibly fast. And this is literally what we're on the precipice of right now, is a massive shift in global consciousness. And that's why we're seeing all this division, all these distractions right now. And it's happening on a macro level, but on the micro, people are recognizing this and really starting to want something more. They want to get out of it, and they just don't know how. You know, that's why we have to be the light. We have to really focus on what we truly want to see in the world and share and share and share, because people recognize it and they feel it and they start to emulate it themselves.
We really are at a crucial moment energetically right now where the chasm is widening. So we're either surfing the wave or we're sort of tumbling behind it in the undertow. And we've reached a point where it's time to decide what perspective you want to look at this situation from. Do you want to be surfing on top of the wave, or do you want to be tumbling behind it? And you know, it really does sort of even begin with unconditional love for yourself. It all starts within, and then begins to ripple out from there. So recognizing that, you're worthy. You are worthy of respect and unconditional love simply through being alive, simply through being here. You're enough. And every other being is as well. Yeah. Jay, are you still there?
I'm still here. You know, it's about I was feeling about we always look at ourselves, or people look at us as who we are, as not what we are. And I think there's a big difference in that too, because I think what we are is we are the essence of wisdom inside, and that we identify ourselves by who we are, and like Eric was saying regarding a validation, connection with other people, groups, could be things, what you do. So we always tend to connect with that instead of what we are inside.
Yeah, that resonates.
And we are in a crucial time. You're right about that, because I feel we're in that too, especially down where you live in the States too. It's a crucial time for either going back to the way we were, or taking different steps to make changes across the world. So it's a real big decision for your country too. And I think there's a lot of upheaval too about the differences of how people would not like to change.
It's really manifesting
very quickly.
It's manifesting worldwide.
And how it's actually manifesting is through, unfortunately, it's violence, actually. Yeah. We're just getting mad, eh?
Yeah, it's really happening across the world, isn't it, Jay? I mean, France is in a bit of a upheaval at the moment, as well as Turkey and many, many places on the planet. We're all in it together. And the idea that we're separated by, by country is just another level of that deception. We're not separate. We're all in it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's true.
Jay, thank you so much for your call.
You're very welcome. And have a great evening.
You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye-bye. Okay, moving on to another caller. Area code 914. Hi, you're on the air.
Hi.
What's your name?
Hi, Cindy, and thank you so much. What a great show you have, and just wonderful topics. And I just think that that's your way of bringing this unity, and I just wanted to thank you for that. And having this forum, I think, is great and very healing.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, and I felt compelled to, call in when that woman said about the $20. I had a similar experience, so I was like, wow, I think I have to press one and call in. I don't think it was a coincidence. I was walking along too, and I found $6, and not even like 10 minutes later, I get a reconnection from somebody that I thought was like a lost contact. So I don't know if that was like, and it was like, a work thing that I thought was like, oh, okay, no, thank you. It didn't go well, but like it was like bang, like I found the $6, and then this person got in contact with me. So, perhaps that door isn't closed. Like that was a sign. Like I greatly believe in the signs of the universe too.
Well, that's one of the things that we really need to focus on. When we feel that there is a reason for something happening, there is a reason for something happening. And the more you allow yourself to truly embrace the reason for it happening, it doesn't matter what it is, or even the fact that it happened, that's when you start really opening yourself up to the abundance of the universe, when you start making these connections like you were just talking about, like you felt it was a sign that, I just found something out of nowhere and all of a sudden I had this contact right here. Maybe it was a sign why that happened. You need to start following these, and really think back on those times like, oh, man, you remember that time when the universe told me that I was going to, blah, 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 and then it happened, When we start recognizing that and kind of expecting it to happen, that's when you start seeing just amazing synchronicity in your life, where things start popping up, just one right after the other, after the other, after the other. And it gets to the point to where you're like, okay, there's no question about this. Like, there's definitely some kind of like it's a pronoia, It's not paranoia where everybody's out to get you. It's a pronoia, like the universe is conspiring for you,
Oh, that's great. I had never heard that. So that is so great. Wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, because then I'll do that double talk where it was like, no, that wasn't a sign. That was just me reading into it. Like I guess that ego kicks in and that paranoia. You're right.
The messages come.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say messages come through until you begin to take notice. And so sometimes, the universe or higher self, whatever it is that's trying to come through, or whatever you call it, will sort of nudge you multiple times in multiple ways until you take notice and recognize that this isn't coincidence, it's synchronistic. There's a message coming through. And then when you open yourself up to that message, oftentimes more messages come through and stronger messages, unavoidable. It becomes the sort of situation where there's synchronicities happening in your life multiple times a day because you're so open and available to those messages coming through.
Wow. You
It's all
both
about
are
putting
just, wow.
yourself into alignment. It's
That
all
is
about
just
putting yourself into alignment.
fantastic. Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing
I
is that
could
we're
really...
unconscious. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I could. That's really just resonating in me, and that's just.
Well, I've broken this down in a past couple of shows here. Like when we start going into the atomic structure of the world, how, you know, everything's made up of a cellular structure and an atomic structure, and those atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Those are made up of quarks. It all keeps on going down. There is a base to it, and that base is energy. Now, the consciousness itself is energy, and we operate off of almost an energetic system here. And so when we truly believe something, and this is why prayer works, because people truly believe that they're going to get an answer to their prayer, and then they put that out into the universe. They are applying their energy. They are applying their directed energy to the energetic construct around us. And so when you start really falling into that line of faith where you are, I completely and totally believe that the universe is conspiring for me to bring me something better, it happens anyway, just because you are putting it out there like that. And so when you start aligning yourself with these messages and saying, okay, that is definitely something that I was supposed to take notice of this. I'm supposed to pay attention to this. And you start really focusing on the feelings and sensations that the event brought around inside of you, and you stay inside of those emotions and sensations more, you just fall into alignment. That's where things really start clicking in, and you start taking over your reality, and you start seeing what you want to see in the world. It's really amazing how the consciousness dictates how we actually operate inside the physical reality. And, you know, it's really simple stuff. You know, it's very, very simple stuff. It's follow your passions, follow that sensation. Like, you know, when you hear a piece of music that sends chills up and down your spine, and with just amazing energy, and you get to the point to where you're just so filled with emotion, you know, that's your body telling you, this right here, pay attention, follow this. And when we start to follow it, magic happens, literal magic.
Wow, yeah. And adding to that, I saw once that when I heard once somebody explain it, that when we pray, we are actually emitting energy. It's like a form of exercise, like your body is like technically burning calories. You know, so there has to be something greater at work than what we see. I mean, in the simplest terms, most basic terms possible.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, the work that me and Beth do, we're both energetic healers, and we can, you know, move our energy anywhere we want on, you know, this local cluster of the galaxy right here. Most of the time it pertains to just Earth, but, you know, we can go anywhere that we want. We can see anything that we want, and we operate on a level that a lot of people really don't even know exists. And so, you know, we take things for granted, and it's really heartening to be able to, you know, show people like a reality around you. It's everything that you truly believe, everything you desire, you can manifest simply because you are an energetic being inside of this energetic construct.
Wow. Yeah, no, just again, that's just so powerful. That's just utterly amazing. Wow. Yeah, that was
wonderful, Cindy. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you both again for a lovely show and forum. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to remind our listening audience, if you'd like to call in and join the discussion, call the number 619-924-9805. And it looks like our chat room is functioning. So for those of you that would like to ask a question or join the conversation off air, feel free to pose those questions to Dylan Ross, who is moderating our chat room this evening. And thank you so much, Dylan, for doing that. And let's go ahead now. Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Let's go ahead now and take another call. Area code 510. Hi, you're on the air. What's your name?
Hello, how you doing? This is Mr. Research Caller from California. How are you both?
Oh, we're doing so well. Tell me again, what was your name?
I go by a moniker, Mr. Research.
Mr. Research,
Mr.
hi.
Research.
And I've got a little curiosity because I've listened for a while and I heard like some competing conversations, so I was kind of off on what the topic was because I heard one person say one thing, then it spin to something else, and so it was kind of confusing. So I said, let me ask.
Oh, well, tonight we don't really have a topic. We're having an open discussion tonight. So really anything goes this evening. We're just having a little chat together.
Well, you know what? I guess this will give me time to ask a question of you guys. Maybe see what your solutions for things are. Out of curiosity, when you see things in the news, let's take Chicago for example. And sometimes I have conversations just to see what other people in parts of the world are thinking or U.S. What do you guys think the solutions for Chicago might be with the violence epidemic? From your standpoint.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, there's multiple levels that we can go here. I was actually, I'm a massage therapist as well, and I work with a lady who's 96 in a nursing home, and she's always watching TV, and they actually had something on the Steve Harvey show that was on when I was there, and it was about the Chicago gun violence. And he was going into a whole bunch of issues, how there is no unity between the police forces and the actual people. You know, they become targets whenever they're seen talking to cops, you know. So, I mean, first and foremost, what we could do is create a safe space for people to actually come forward because, you know, for every single murder that happens over there, they don't get any witnesses. They don't get any leads. And, you know, 10, 15 people know exactly what happened. It's just that they're scared of becoming targets themselves. So first and foremost, we could create a safe space for people to come in and, you know, not even come in, just call from the safety of their own homes just to give tips and stuff like that. And that's just on a physical level right there. But what we really need to start doing is tackling the issue of why people are killing each other to begin with. You know, and that is just such a widespread thing going on in our world right now. I mean, it's not just Chicago. I mean, Chicago here in the States is definitely a hot spot of what's happening right now, but I mean, in the world, you know, we're here in this first world country, and we don't see stuff like this every day. But you go over to, you know, one of these war-torn countries like Syria or, you know, like Libya was just a year ago, you know, they see this stuff all the time. This is something that is heavily, heavily prevalent in the culture of the whole entire planet right now, and we need to start focusing on why people think it is okay for them to be lashing out in this type of manner, you know, because it's not. Every single person has a right to exist. We truly, truly do. And it is our decision on whether or not we want to end our lives or not, you know. And if we lived in a world where we didn't have all of this all these types of programs that literally lead us into this type of thinking, a lot of this wouldn't happen. And, you know, this goes very, very deep here. I mean, we can go from just the heart-soul level all the way to the control structure on the planet that's actually keeping this prevalent inside of the collective consciousness right now. I mean, and then we can go on the energetic level as well. I mean, there's multiple ways that we can look at this right here. What would you like to look at?
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll give you this part of it. Part of the not the violence worldwide, but part of the Chicago-specific violence is, and this is going to sound strange to outsiders. I'm not even from Chicago. I just understand how hood ghetto things work. Part of the violence issue is lack of male role models and lack of male images to do anything different. When family court takes on such a key role to separate or financially devastate these young males, because a lot of these fathers happen to be 16, 18, not 25, 30. So yeah. when some of these young males get a $20,000 bill that they have to pay plus 28% interest, and a lot of people don't even know it's 28% interest, which is more than any card that you can have. it becomes so redundant. And then these boys get out here with a sense of, I have to exert something because I'm in such a female-dominated structure at home. And whether it be the penis or whether it be a pistol, I got to do that. So that's one of the reasons for the shooting. It may not seem like that's what it is, but it's really that's what it is. You can remove some of these boys and put them in a male-driven environment, and they thrive. But as long as they're in that feminine-dominated environment, they're going to lash out. But, lady, you were saying? I apologize.
Oh no, I resonate with some of what you're saying, and I feel really deeply that when people have no resources and are undermined at every turn, they feel upset, and they should feel upset. And ultimately, we're kind of in a situation where people don't really know how to funnel that energy of just really being done with, the multiple levels of oppression. Really, is what it boils down to. They don't know how to funnel that energy into a constructive focus that can really help the situation, because ultimately, violence is not going to help us at this point. And I think that ultimately it really is a result of just being so fed up and not really seeing a viable action that's constructive.
Absolutely, but may I interject a thought, just as a personal experience where you say viable and violence doesn't solve anything. Growing up, I never thought I'd live past 26. That's not a concept for a lot of other demographics of people to even fathom.
Right.
But when you're in that thought process of you don't see that. I grew up 3 blocks from a Carnation plant that made milk, a Coca-Cola plant, and a Nabisco plant. For 20 years, they never hired anybody from our neighborhood, but they took what I didn't know at the time was corporate welfare by taking a tax loophole from the city stating that they were bringing jobs to the community. So they didn't have to pay hundreds of $millions in taxes. So the unfortunate thing is, because people with good hearts don't fix that problem, where people can get economically empowered, where people do have the option of not doing the gun thing but doing something righteous, now we can talk all we want to, but the problem isn't getting corrected by the bleeding heart people who say they want to correct it before the violence gets here. Let me give you another example. I work in medical. I have 5 certifications. Sometimes when I work in a female-dominated industry, they don't see the 5 certifications, the polite nature, the articulate conversation. They see this dark skin. That's all they see. I recently was offered to run a new office for a hospital group. After going through all the background checks, which ain't no big thing on the background checks, I've had federal clearances before, no biggie. I get HR contact me back, and they said, oh, we see on your background you have 2 misdemeanors. I said, what misdemeanors? You mean these traffic tickets from 2 years ago? Yeah, misdemeanors. I said, well, you keep referring to them as misdemeanors. You clearly see on there that they're traffic tickets. And she said, well, you didn't tell us about them, so it kind of makes us think that you were dodging. I said, ma'am, respectfully, I just spent 10 years on the East Coast. We don't focus on traffic tickets for HR. I mean, I didn't think to tell you about my parking tickets either, not to be snide, but I was under the assumption, reading the verbiage on backgrounds, that you were looking for felonies and things of that nature, not traffic tickets. Well, we're going to have to rescind our offer because of, I said, ma'am, for a 2- and 3-year-old driving ticket, you're wow. Okay. Now, I can't respond back. I can't get upset because now that person's looking for that so they can spoil something else in the future. But when you have people going against you with that type of fervor, if, I sometimes say if I had blue eyes, I wouldn't have that problem. Because, again, you're looking...
in the world, the truth is, in the world that we're living in, that's true. That's true. If you had blue eyes, it wouldn't be the same. And that is fundamentally at the root core, part of what's wrong. It's the pathology that's occurring on this entire planet. It's not just in Chicago. It's not just in the United States. It's happening everywhere where we are divided and the situation is not equitable. And really, what we have to do is be solution-minded. I agree with you. We can't just talk about it. It takes action, but it takes more than just physical action. It takes a spiritual action and an energetic action. And we really have to begin to shift our perspective. Eric, do you have anything to add here?
Well, yeah, you definitely brought up some very, very valid points. Racism is completely and totally alive in this country. And it's one of these things that it's fueled by impoverishing these communities where it's predominantly young black men, young Hispanic men who end up having to lash out. And I think you nailed it right there with the lack of the father influence. And what we're talking about here is literally the perversion of the sacred masculine energy. Masculine energy is supposed to be a protector. It's supposed to be a nurturer when it needs to be, but it's there to teach. It's there to help bring in the new generation and give them the values and the morals that we all need. And this is one of the things that we're definitely seeing right here, because when you have these people who have everything stacked up against them, it truly is an abomination of what's happening, and it promotes this violent culture. And when you have this violent culture promoted in these specific areas like such as Chicago, it bleeds over. And so when people look at your dark skin, they look at you and they expect you to be a violent type of a person. They expect you to be somebody who they can't connect with. And, it's really sad that the state of the culture is in right now, but this is really what we have to start moving past. And, I don't agree with, the female-dominated society type of a thing right there. What I feel is actually happening is it's a domination of both sides. It's a domination not of letting them come into fruition the way that they truly need to be, but a domination as in stuffing the true natural aspects of each sex and promoting it into the biases that they have, and then letting it loose, like you're talking about with this lady who is just looking at you and just seeing your dark skin right there. It's the same as the masculine side thinking that we're here for nothing more than to get money and shoot people. It's not what it is supposed to be. We are supposed to be here as protectors. We're supposed to be here to raise our children and not leave that void in their life, because then you have to literally try to find your way on your own, and you don't have anybody to guide you. You don't have anybody as an example. And it's a huge multi-tiered issue right here. But I truly believe that if we were able to stop with the oppression, because there's no getting around it. This is what it is. It is absolute oppression, and it is a systematic actually program, and it's something that is actually happening right now, that we can literally see this, and there's a huge difference between a man with blue eyes and a man with dark skin going in for the same job, simply because of the biases that we have that stem from so many other things. And it's all about making a culture of people that we can be against, because if we are divided, if we are not looking to come together and rise up against the actual system that is doing this to us, what we're doing is we're going after each other. And that's exactly what you're seeing right there. And, I feel for you. It's really tough to have traffic tickets from, 3 years ago preventing you from getting a job, to keep you from really providing for yourself. And you've got more than enough qualifications. You've got 5 certifications on whatever it is that you need to do. and yet this is what they see. It's a multi-tiered bias towards a very specific group of people so that we all have somebody that we can say, they're the problem, they're the issue. And when we have groups that are doing this, the people who are being oppressed, they look at everybody else like they are the issue. And we are the issue. Every single one of us are the issue. And that's what we have to start moving past. We have to really start coming together as people. And, it's rough. It really, truly is. And I really feel for you. It's not an easy life that most black people have in America here, simply from these biases that we have in a culture as a whole. And this is what we really have to start moving past, because you aren't a black man. You are a man, and you exist. And just like I am a white man, I exist. And I would never, ever try to oppress you. And, I would hope that you would never try to oppress me. And this is the mindset that we really need to start coming together on, because we all have very basic needs that every single one of us needs to have met. And the simple fact that you can't have this met is atrocity. It truly is. And these are the issues that we really need to start diving into, and not just, talking about it. We really need to start doing something about it. What that is yet, I honestly don't know. This is a question that I have had for a long, long time. I've been trying to find solutions for this for a long time. And, the truth of the matter is that I was raised in a racist home, and I was racist for about the first 15 years of my life, until I got to the point where it was like, well, what's the point? What's the point? You guys had no choice over what color skin you were born in whatsoever. The same, I had no choice what color skin I was born in. I grew up in this body the same as you did. You have no choice over that. So what is the issue here? Why are we looking at each other like we're completely different? We're not. We're all just navigating this life trying to make ends meet,
Everybody bleeds red, and I'm going to share the mic and hang up in a second. But I applaud you for what you said. It's the unfortunate thing that I try to get people to understand. I'm going to be all right because I have 5 certifications. I reinvested in myself. I was just giving an example of even on my level of trying to make $80 grand a year. You get these HR people who do the grand jury mystery hide reason why we don't want you to move forward. If the manager wants me and their counterparts want me, who are you to stop it? So it's that type of thing. And the reason I brought up the point was that the warehouse guy trying not to sell drugs, trying not to hate white people, who just wants to get a job so he can take care of the 2 kids he got, so he can get to a shipping manager or something. If he has that type of stuff come at him, like I had on my level, it frustrates.
It's infuriating. Yeah.
Right. And it puts it, and even I understand the white guy or whoever who feels like, I'm losing jobs and what have you. I had to explain to a guy, I said, well, now with all this outsourcing, man, we have people here in the country, no disrespect to them, who aren't really down for the country. They're just here to make money, and after they finish doing it for 5-10 years, they have a second option. They can go back to their homeland. You know what I'm saying? And leave me and you here to fix everything. So it's one of those situations. But I'm glad I was able to talk to both of you. That way, you guys can hear from a different version of how this stuff feels toward people who maybe are not able to articulate it in a polite, intellectual way. But have a good one.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Thank you so much for the call. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Moving on to another caller, area code 914. Hi, you're on the air. What's your name?
Oh, wow, that is so funny. You had taken me before. I was still just listening, but I did have a comment for what the gentleman before was saying.
Yes, of course. What's your first name?
Oh, it's Cindy again. Like I said, I was just listening, and you took me again by accident, but maybe again, no accident.
Exactly, Cindy. Yeah. What would you like to say?
I was just thinking what Einstein said, the problem can never be solved by the same level of energy from which it was created, right? So,
exactly.
and maybe we did have choices as kind of, our contracts of what we could learn and what we can teach others from, being born into whatever, race, creed, or religion.
Well, the definition of insanity is to be doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Like you just said, you can't change anything unless you come at it from a different level. And that's what we really need to start doing, because everything that we have been doing isn't working. I mean, look at the state of the country. Look at the state of the world. It's not working. We need to try something different, and that's just the bottom line right there. What that is, I really don't know what that entails, but I do know that it comes from the connection from person to person, with the heart space connection, with the ultimate compassion and love for everybody. Like, if we can all shift over into this mindset right here, the world will shift overnight, literally overnight.
Well, and I have an idea, just speaking to what Mr. Research brought to the table for us this evening. I mean, it's really small and it's really simple, but it's a start. And just for instance, if I'm walking on the sidewalk as a white woman and a black man is walking towards me, I absolutely make an effort to make eye contact and smile as we pass. And it's a small thing, but it's an action. It's an action that says, I see you. I'm not, I haven't bought in. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I see you. And sometimes it's really just the smallest gestures, noticing when someone is experiencing, something that should not be happening to them. And even if they're a stranger, just staying in their presence and holding space for them. We all have opportunities every single day to connect with each other from that open-hearted space. And it's time to take responsibility and do that, to look at each other in the eye and smile. It's a small thing, but it's also huge.
It's all about the inclusion. Drop the exclusion.
Right.
I mean, really, we all want the same things. Yeah, we all want the same things. Every single person on this planet we all want the same thing. It's no different. It's no different if you are an Indian person living in Malaysia and experiencing that same ethnic divide or, cultural divide that's absolutely created, or elsewhere in the world where, in India, where there are castes, where, people who are of the same ethnicity are doing this to each other. It's happening everywhere, and it's up to each of us individually to say, actually, I don't want to contribute to that. That is not in alignment with how I want this world to be. And so in my own little universe, in my own little daily life, I choose to not interact or engage in that.
Right. Now, and I really love the image. I think it was Bert Harding that I found on YouTube that said this, but I know it's like ancient wisdom. It might be Buddhist, but we're all consciousness, and the consciousness is the ocean. And, our human experiences is that we think we're that one wave riding up from the ocean, but we're ultimate, just a piece of that source, not that individual wave.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Cindy.
Yeah. I don't know, it kind of just fits in what everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in again, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was really neat being a clumsy switchboard operator, but nothing is coincidental, right? It's always synchronistic. So thank you again.
Yes. Thank you both
Cindy.
again. Thank you, and the caller before as well. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we have another caller here. Maybe having some technical difficulties. Okay, so I think unless someone else calls in, we have no more callers. Eric, is there anything that you would like to discuss in our last 9 minutes here of the show? Anything that you'd like to bring up or reiterate?
Yeah, well, we were definitely going to be talking about relationships, so I guess we can start covering that right now. All types of relationships. You know, you have your friends, your family, your loved ones, your significant other, coworkers, people that you have to interact with in your various everyday life, you know. And sometimes we really don't resonate with some of those people, like especially if we don't like the way that our family thinks and the way that they, you know, interact with the world, but we still have to interact with them. You know, that's something that we really have to start figuring out what to do a lot more clearly, you know, because it's completely different with people that you have to interact with as opposed to people that you want to interact with, you know, people that you make your family from outside connections, you know, friends. And, you know, this is definitely something that I've had problems with my pretty much my whole adult life because, you know, especially in the direction that I went with the energy work and whatnot, I came from a fundamentalist Christian household, and they really do not like what I do, you know, but I still have to interact with them. And the best thing that I have been able to do is just to recognize that they are in their state of where they are, and they're comfortable with it, and it's not my job to force them into my way of thinking, to recognize everything that's going on. The only thing that you can really do for these types of people is just stay true to who you are. You know, you can really just shine that light really bright and keep it on, and they will eventually start noticing, you know, what you're doing, and you will get questions asked. You know, you'll end up being able to kind of share how you feel and the way that you want to interact in the world, and, you know, they'll start, you know, really connecting in with that and trying to figure it out. They might not understand it. They might not really follow along the same pathway that you have, but that's what we're here for. We're here to be examples in the world, you know, and it's the same with any type of a relationship. You got a boss that you really don't like, you know, and that happens quite often. You know, just shine that light, you know, and it's one of these things that it comes from inside, you know. I recognize that I don't want to be a part of the problem. I want to be a part of the solution, and the only way to be a part of the solution is to be that change that you want to see in the world. And so it's really one of these things that we have to kind of, I guess you could say roll with it, you know. You got to be like water. You got to be on your feet, fluid, and constantly shifting with the way that the energy flows, and stay true to your center. You got to ride the wave, not get tumbled around by it. With loved ones, you know, friends, family that you do get along with, significant others, we have to let them know how much we appreciate them. Relationships can stagnate pretty quickly. They can go from something amazing into something that where you both take each other for granted, or, you know, the group takes each other for granted. And this is definitely something that is imperative to keep a relationship strong, because like you were saying at the beginning of the show, a relationship is nothing more than a vehicle in which we have relations with each other. You know, it's a relationship. And ships, they sail the ocean, and sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes you've got 30-foot waves that you have to navigate while there's lightning crashing around everywhere. And it's all about keeping that awareness inside and letting everybody know that you really, truly appreciate them. You are better for having them in your life. You appreciate what they bring to you, what they give of themselves to you, and the same vice versa. You appreciate having somebody that you can really bring stuff to, something that you can, somebody that you can really, you know, try to build up bigger than both of you were separately. And friends are absolutely important. Having that type of a relationship to where you can, you know, put the troubles of the day out there and let somebody else commiserate with you or give advice to you, or, you know, just hold space for you, and do the same vice versa for them. It's a vital thing. And like we were talking about with, I believe it was Jay who was bringing up the lack of connectivity in the world, this is how this happens. We don't tell each other how much we appreciate each other. We don't go out of our way to show how much we appreciate each other. And, you know, it's one of these things that when we start to let that stagnate and we start taking each other for granted, people start to really pull away. They start to recognize that, okay, well, I'm just kind of here, you know. And this is something that you have to really put it on a pedestal. If you truly appreciate this person, if you truly appreciate this relationship, put it on a pedestal, something that you have to look at every day and say, I really, truly appreciate this. I really, truly love having this person in my life. They make me better than I was without them. And this is something that I've really been thinking about quite a bit lately. And it's not just, you know, with, like, my significant other. It's not like with Sierra, you know. I truly do love her, and I've been noticing that I haven't been making her known and making it known how much I appreciate her. I've been starting to really kind of fall into a routine and let it be taken for granted, and that's really not okay. You know, you have to tell the people that you love, that you truly love them, that you really appreciate who they are and what they bring, and it's you know, a really powerful thing to be able to do this, and not just have it sent out, because when you start sending out these types of connections, you have them return. They make their way full circle and they come back to you, and you become a much more fulfilled person, because we aren't, you know, individual solo creatures. You know, we've got stuff like agoraphobia and things like that, where people are just so socially awkward and anxious that they don't want to even interact with people, and it's because they've had some type of trauma in their past where they don't want to interact with people because they're scared of it happening again, that kind of a thing, you know. And this is these types of phobias, these types of complexes that start developing around this type of a thing. And the simplest way to break through that is just to let somebody know that you really, truly appreciate them as a person. And it's a powerful thing.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for saying all of that. Such a brilliant way to end this show. Although, Eric, I would like for you to just talk a little bit about our guest next week before we end the show. Can you tell us a little bit about Seth?
Yeah, Seth, he is a Arcturian contactee. He has been on multiple extraterrestrial ships. Whenever he goes out at night and he looks at the sky, he has ships that fly by him, and he's got a lot of really good information. He's connected in with these people, and he can actually do readings for people, like right there in person, of what the message is for that particular person from this particular species that's out there. And he's a really, really cool guy, and I can't wait to have him on the show.
Oh, my gosh, I'm so excited. So everybody, next week, next Wednesday night, Seth will be the guest on our show, and we will be taking calls again next week. Thank you, everyone, so much. What a fantastic show. And, Eric, it's as always so much fun. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You are very welcome.
Everyone have a wonderful night.
Good night.